and welcome to London360, the only regular news feature show that keeps you up to date with everything that's going on in the capital. You can catch us here weekly, or you can watch the show anytime and get involved online at communitychannel.org/London360. In our new show, we have an exciting lineup of stories, from the women who helped to develop Carnival on the backstreets of West London to the power of a hashtag in our daily lives. When you think of Notting Hill Carnival, you think young people, street culture and huge sound systems. I was most interested in the women who were once at the forefront of the parade and who kept Carnival alive. I went down to Portobello Road to find out more about the women pioneers who were born and bred into Carnival. We're in West London at the Carnival Pioneers Community Day, remembering the women pioneers who gave birth to and nurtured Notting Hill Carnival, turning it from a local street party in 1973 into an international festival.
A lot of the women, they are the backbones to the culture, you know, whether it's the mass designing, whether it's to put on the events, whether it's the actual singers. So I think it's very important that we highlight these pioneers for the culture, and we make not only the Carnival community but others aware of who are the founders and who these ladies are, you know.
I think it's very important to celebrate the women, because the women are always behind the men, supporting their work, and for them to celebrate the women today is really important.
Tribute to founding mothers is so exciting, and I think appropriate in terms of the particular role that women have played in establishing Carnival, which came from very modest beginnings, and we know how massive it is today.
I went to talk to two founding mothers to find out more about the role they played in establishing Notting Hill Carnival and to find out just how far it's come.
It's really good now that people are looking back and recognizing the contribution that the women made. At the time when I became involved, there weren't many women involved in Carnival. I was one woman amongst many macho men, and being secretary was about multitasking.
I did all the reporting, I did all the budgets and all the finance. My role was actually keeping it alive. I worked full-time as a hospital midwife and then as a hospital manager, but every evening I used to go to the mass camp and cook, because it was the only way we could really say thanks to people who helped.
When the riots in 1976 happened, it was a shock because we thought that we had a good relationship with the police. But the investigation revealed that it wasn't a riot started by people, it was planned. The relationship between the police and the community has changed vastly.
It was a very different sense of community. There was no route. We went all through the streets, All Saints Road, Lancaster Road, everywhere. It would be 11:30 before we got back to the mass camp.
Notting Hill Carnival has become an integral part of British history, rising through racial tension and deprivation. Although hundreds have contributed, it would not be where it is today without the women pioneers who have worked to sustain and develop what is now an international festival.
To all the women whose names were never mentioned, I am delighted that now the contribution of women in Notting Hill Carnival is being recognized.
With over 270 communities in London, there is an array of different cultures to experience. The Asian community gave us Bollywood, the Brazilians gave us Samba, but there's a new genre on the scene, Fado, brought to us by the Portuguese community. Sophia Couceiro went to find out more.
Fado is our identity, is like our soul.
Fado is the most popular Portuguese music.
One of the hidden music genres in the capital is Fado, commonly known as Portuguese blues. One of the places where you can listen to it is Café Barcelona.
Silêncio.
The story of Fado is still a mystery, but we know that it started being sung in Lisbon over 200 years ago. From my understanding, it has roots in gypsy music, in sailor songs, in the blues, in Africa, Brazil.
But yet, as soon as the kind of singing starts, you could almost forget that you're on busy Streatham High Road, and you're just kind of captivated by the emotion and the music, and I think it feels very privileged to have this on our doorstep, really.
We have this island mentality. We listen to American music mostly. It's good to listen to other music from other countries.
Further north, in Little Portugal, this UNESCO World Heritage music genre is also found in restaurants, bars, and in the most unusual places like the basement of fishmongers.
Sabes que eu sou ciumento, mas deito meu coração.
This is what we call Fado Vadio, bump Fado, which is sung in a spontaneous way between friends. One challenges the other and the rhymes are made at the spot. You see some Fado groups here in London who go to restaurants, and always the restaurants are really full of guests having dinner and listening Fado. That is our way. It has a considerable interest in the British society. There's 30,000 Portuguese living in Lambeth Borough and something like 150,000 in Greater London. And you have many, many people in our community which sing Fado for pleasure and for business on the weekends.
Fado is not exclusive to South London. It can also be found in Northwest London in small restaurants.
We play in the Portuguese restaurants, sometimes in English pubs as well. We go every place in London.
There are definitely Fado lovers in the capital. I have friends from, as far as Japan and South Korea. They are big Fado lovers. The most important thing is the international visibility of the music that happens in the UK.
Eu sou o único aqui na Inglaterra a cantar Fado de Coimbra. E Londres recebeu-me bem. A audiência tem sido fantástica. Os prémios que Fado ganhou até agora, ganhou o prémio muito recente, que foi o prémio do Património da Humanidade. Foi um grande orgulho para todos os fadistas portugueses, e o prémio do Carlos Carmo. O Fado, desde que passou a Património da Humanidade, já não é só nosso. Já não nos podemos dar ao luxo de dizer o Fado é português. Não, o Fado é mundial.
Here at London360, we love to give people a platform to have a say about their great city. So we invite you to send us your stories, points of view, or even passionate rants. This week, Fiola Ibrahusi discusses the health risks of the congestion in London. Take it away, Fiola.
Hi, I'm Fiola from Northwest London. Our capital has been named the most congested city in Europe. London is currently over the pollution limit, and last year drivers spent up to 96 hours stuck in traffic.
High levels of nitrogen dioxide have health implications for those living in the city. Poor air quality means that there are 29,000 premature deaths every year. Long-term exposure can also lead to lung cancer and heart disease. Across West London, 700 people have died due to pollution. I have noticed that my area is getting busier and busier. Children, cyclists, the elderly and those suffering with asthma are the most vulnerable.
Raising awareness is a great first step in tackling this issue. I think more should be done in schools and communities. As Londoners, we have a responsibility to take action. Everyone can make simple changes by walking or cycling short distances. Collectively, we can make a positive change for the future.
That's all for part one, but see you after the break for more London stories. We'll be taking a trip to a festival in Trafalgar Square celebrating Korean culture and seeing why Londoners are taking a walk in Walthamstow. Welcome back to part 2 of London360, the only show that unearths real stories from London's hidden communities. It's no secret that hashtags have become a key tool in the delivery of news. Artist Selena Teague recently described the hashtag as a dangerous force that can ruin lives. Fred Batt travelled to Wandsworth to find out exactly what she means.
Over the past decade, social media has taken the world by storm. With an estimation of 2 billion users worldwide across multiple platforms, it's clear to see that we're engaging with each other online. On social media, hashtags give you the ability to jump into conversations that are trending globally. London artist Selena Teague's latest exhibition, I Think Therefore I Hashtag, is an interpretation of the world's most shocking news stories that have had the biggest impact on social media.
It began because I was thinking a lot about the news. So many news stories coming my way at the beginning of this year, like with all of us, because we live with our mobile phones attached to us, we take them to bed, we wake up with them, we go to the loo with them. I found myself unable to switch off from the news. I felt the need to stop and take some time and to think about the stories a little bit more. For instance, things like Bring Back Our Girls, the campaign that was on social media. It was a tweet that I think was 1 million people retweeted that picture of Bring Back Our Girls, and yet it's a story that was very quickly, we moved on from it. But I felt I wanted to paint a painting about that, for example, and think about what is beneath the story.
What do you think about the messages that these paintings convey?
To me, that's what's essential about making art, you know. It's the same sort of genre of work for me. I think that's the purpose for both of us. So we have a great conversation and dialogue together around these kind of subjects.
The internet was always intended to pull us together, and at the moment, I think it's not doing that as well as it could. I think actually it's almost showing people to be very different and apart and creating friction when it should be doing the opposite.
I feel connected to her work because it's daring and fun, colourful, energetic and soulful.
I mean, we see it happening all the time. There's always some new victim. It was Tim Hunt not that long ago, who is a Nobel laureate, a scientist with a fantastic career, who said a throwaway comment. His reputation was just trashed and people really wanted to tear him down. We had Walter Palmer, who shot the famous lion Cecil. He got the same punishment. If we always tear down people for making silly throwaway comments that are clearly not intended to be nasty, for example, are we actually doing ourselves a disservice by meting out such serious amount of criticism, because people will just clam up and not say anything?
I think the thing is that they've encapsulated our social kind of movement of being inundated by quite intense and provocative kind of news pieces, and in a way where it's been presented as very friendly within social media, so I think it's actually brilliant.
I think it's great to finish off on this painting because at the end of the day, love is stronger than hate, and if there's one message of this show, that would be it.
So there you have it, the darker side of social media according to London artist Selena Teague. But the real question is, do you hashtag?
The E17 Art Trail is allowing Walthamstow locals to get their culture fix right on their doorstep, rather than heading to the West End. Drew McGregor tells us more.
Art for me has always kept me sane, and I think that's the same for most people. They need some sort of creative expression. What the art trail does is it opens up those avenues for the community, so the community can actually see that those possibilities are there.
Walthamstow's E17 Art Trail is an arts festival with a difference. Instead of locals having to visit stuffy galleries or overly formal heritage sites, the wider community are given the opportunity to view over 250 exhibitions and to engage with 100 local artists, all in an incredibly diverse array of spaces, from intimate studios to people's front rooms, all on their doorstep.
I'm a printmaker, so a fine art printmaker. So we have a fully functioning printmaking studio that has screen printing, etching, relief printing, and that's the kind of art that we exhibit in here in Inky Cuttlefish. I've taken part in the art trail since the very beginning, and it creates this really wonderful festival atmosphere in Walthamstow.
This is the 5th year that we at St Barnabas have been involved with the art trail. We've got a fantastic diversity of work here. So very strikingly, we have some work very high up in the nave arches of the church. We have a dove made of willow that's hanging above the font. We have a very powerful triptych of 3 FGM survivors, and that work is particularly inspiring. And then we've got, of course, Sean Pines' wonderful Beauty in the Ordinary, wonderful pictures.
For me, as an artist going to visit other artists, it's a real privilege being allowed into people's homes and studios. I think people just do enjoy coming into these more intimate spaces rather than perhaps a gallery exhibition. It's a very different feel.
I think it's just a really good way of doing something that's local, bringing people together. And it's great for them, even at a young age, to see working artists around them. I hope it has some positive impact on them.
Despite celebrating its 11th anniversary this year, the Art Trail will no longer be held annually, taking place every other year instead, due in large part to a shortfall in funding. We approached Waltham Forest Council for comment regarding the impact local authority budget cuts have had on its ability to support community projects.
Despite the unprecedented funding cuts being imposed on local government, we are committed to investing in our arts and culture programme. The Council continues to support the E17 Art Trail, and this year provided organisers with £10,000 worth of funding.
I think it's quite hard to measure the full impact of the arts because there's so many subtle things that happen, as well as the skills that you learn and the confidence and the opportunity to express yourself, which is, you know, at the moment it's extremely important for young people growing up in a city especially, and that's becoming kind of harder and harder with the funding situation as it is.
I do think that the projects like this should have support from public funds. I think, you know, that little bit of incentive money that makes things happen, that can kind of help the Art Trail as an organisation to be more creative, more organised, have more capacity. I think, you know, a bit of money into something like that and you really create a lot of public good for the whole of the community.
London got to experience East Asian culture when Korea Day arrived in Trafalgar Square, giving us a taste of all things Korean, including K-pop, Gangnam Style and quirky fashion. Ikran Dahir went to find out why this event made such an impact in the capital.
Listen to K-pop and we're interested in Korean culture as well, so that's why I think that this experience is going to be really cool.
The London Korean Festival brought a piece of Korea to Trafalgar Square, where Londoners were able to experience the culture right here in the capital.
It's a great pleasure and a privilege to be able to join you today here in Trafalgar Square for the very first London Korean Festival.
Described as the South Korean Spice Girls, FX were one of the festival's highlights. Thousands of people came to watch the group, some travelling all the way from Spain.
We've been waiting for so long to see FX, almost 3 years. FX, yeah! We love FX, so yeah, we're really excited. I think just like the different instruments that they play and the traditional dances and stuff like that, because I've never really seen it in person, so it's quite cool to see it here.
World champion hip-hop dance group, Jinjo Crew, brought a modern twist of Korean culture.
I got stuck in a bed with a pen and a pen. I had a voice in my head and this is what it said. Right now, write down, write your feelings out. I'm on a song loud, put my words in style. Find out why my people are crying out. Reach out with hip-hop, skateboard, it's your crowd. Now is the time, now is the sign. Now see a line that'll prick the minds. It's over now, you're older now. I'll flow right through you, let's show them how.
Londoners from all ethnic backgrounds came to experience the diverse attractions offered at the festival.
Well, my friend told me that there was this event going on in Trafalgar Square, which is kind of like Korea Day. So I thought we'd go down, come down, check it out. My friends, my Korean friends make me bibimbap all the time. And it's so good for you. It's like fresh, healthy, raw. You got the kimchi which you put in afterwards and mix it all up with an egg on top. Just want to yam that stuff up.
The highlight so far has been the dance. We're still looking forward to having the food. There's such a long queue. She's been talking so much about Korea, and she told me about this, so I decided to come and see what's up, and I've had a nice time.
The London Korean Festival proved to be a success, as people from all walks of life got to experience Korean fashion, food and traditional performances, as well as the modern side to Korean culture.
That's it for this week's episode. We hope you enjoyed the show. To find out more information about any of the stories featured on today's show, or to send in any suggestions you may have for future episodes, head to communitychannel.org/London360. If you'd like to stay up to date with what goes on behind the scenes here, be sure to join in on the conversation and follow us on Twitter at London_360. Remember, keep it 360.